And I guess we can get started. Can you start off by introducing yourself and telling me a little about yourself?
So I'm Bethany, and let's see, I guess I can start with how I know Vicki. We met at a writers conference, oh my gosh, 6 or 7 years ago, it has to be.
And then she co-wrote this with you, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then I don't know, we've worked together like in different aspects over the years, and so it's super fun to do this book with her and then with her publishing house too. So just very exciting, all the things that are happening. But so as for me, I have 3 boys, and my husband's name is Justin, and he is actually overseas for work right now, doing like contracting stuff, but he's also in the military. And I co-own Serious Writer with Kyle Young, who is my agent. And then I have another company called Platinum Literary Services that I co-own with Michelle Mallock Adams, who's another one of the Endgame authors too. So that's kind of like the work side. And then I don't know, I think this is my 6th or 7th book, and do speaking, lots of things like that. I love planners. That's probably like my obsession is planners. And I've got 2 Poms who are in here, and hopefully they'll be quiet. So
I see them wandering around a little in the background.
My little coworkers.
They're adorable.
Thanks.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about your upcoming title for Endgame?
Yeah, so this one is Navigating Minefields that Vicki and I wrote together, and it's a book for like preteen and teen boys. Basically, it's the life advice that, you know, moms, well, parents really want to give their kids, but they don't always listen to it. So we're hoping to kind of be that extra voice for other parents, because the same advice we want to give, and we do give our own kids. And the trick with this one is going to be, as always, marketing to parents, grandparents, and adults who work with that age group, because the kids themselves are not going to buy. So it's kind of fun doing that. And my first book was a YA book too, for girls though. So it's nice to have like a book for boys, and then I have a book for girls too.
Yeah, cool. So what was kind of that seed of inspiration from this book? Where did the idea start?
The idea came from Vicki, actually. So she had the idea to do the devotional book, which we're going to do after this one. But she was looking at the book of Proverbs and how so much of it is like from a mother's perspective to her son. And she's like, what if we could do this, you know, from like that Christian perspective, but to our own kids, but kind of like not updating the Bible, but taking that same like foundational concepts and the moral structure and say, okay, this is how they can apply that today. And so that came like, I don't know, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. She had the idea and asked if I wanted to do it. And then we had other books coming out, you know, and we thought it was going to be with a different publisher. So now that she's, you know, doing this, it was perfect. And she's like, we've got to have this title. So it was like perfect timing. And I've got 3 boys. So that's why she asked me to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got that kind of real world grounded experience for a topic. What is kind of your purpose for this book? You did kind of touch a little bit about on that, but just kind of the goals with writing this story.
When we were in youth, my husband was a youth minister for a long time. And then I volunteered in youth ministry before I married him. And I mean, that was just such a big part of our life. It was like middle school, high school, and then that early college age, you know, group. And so I did kind of touch on this, but one thing we would ask in our parent meetings was, what are you telling your kids that we can say once and then it'll click? So like, because it's how kids are. And so that was one way that we wanted to work with the parents. And so I kind of see it as the same thing. Like parents are telling their kids like over and over and over. And if we can just be that extra voice that's coming alongside the parents, like with that same concept, sometimes then all the layers that parents have put into things, we get to then like stick that little extra outside stamp on. So really, I think from my perspective, I'm really hoping to come alongside caregivers, parents, and teachers and things with this book.
Great. What was the writing process like? You know, you co-wrote this, so you're working with somebody else on a project. How does that look? How much did each of you do? What were your different roles? Can you just shed some light onto just how that whole process looked?
Yeah, and co-writing with people is always different for every every group that you're writing with. Like I've co-written with Michelle on a couple projects. I've got another one coming up, and then I was a ghostwriter on 2 books, and then this one with Vicky. And so this one was, we very much kind of just took our own pieces and wrote them. And then when we came together with it, there was one chapter that each of us had written, and it was almost the same exact chapter. So I had to rewrite, I rewrote my end of it, but it was crazy how kind of the voices blended. So much of the writing process is at the beginning, figuring out who's going to do what with the Bible verses, even though it wasn't in this book, it'll be in the next one, really saying, okay, these are the ones I'm going to take, these ones you're going to take. So we don't have that overlap. So the reader doesn't kind of get like that repetitiveness. And then making sure that the voice style is similar enough to where someone can read the book without feeling jarred from one to the next, but still kind of maintaining our own voice in it. So it was fun to write this one with her.
Yeah. What was kind of your favorite part of writing this one? Did you have a section you liked, an aspect you liked?
I have some favorite chapters, but I think the fun part was being able to put down, like kind of thinking through collectively about all the things that I want to tell my own kids as they're getting older, or even some life advice that they're not ready for yet, and being able just to get it all compiled and really thinking through. And then as the writing process is happening, still having conversations with my own kids in the car on the way to school and thinking, okay, this is something that I need to put in the book, or oh, that's going to work really well in here. So kind of like pulling that real life happening into the writing. I think that was like super fun.
Yeah. Well, I only got a couple questions left. So one of those is just, what do you really hope that people take away from your book, whether that's, parents and grandparents and guardians, like you talked about, or kids and teens themselves?
I don't want them to feel like it was a to-do list, and I don't think it's written that way. So I think we've covered that. I didn't want it to be a book that kids felt like a mom was talking at them. And again, I think we hit the voice like square on the head, but I did want it to be a resource. And I remember at this age, there's a couple of books that I still have on my bookshelf that I just would go to over and over and over again when I wanted to like get that kind of advice kind of things on topics. And I'm kind of hoping that book is going to be that for some kids. That would be my goal. And I'll never know that, those are one of those things that you never get to know, but that's my hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's such a fun idea. Do you kind of have any closing thoughts as we finish up here?
No, I'm just super excited. And I really hope that we can get it into as many hands as possible. I think it's going to be a great gift book.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bethany. And we very much look forward to your title coming out.
Thank you.